Hi there. How's it going? How we doing? It's another poetry hour. We're on episode number 10. 10 episodes of poetry. We've done 10 hours of poetry. Apparently, if we do 10,000 hours of poetry, we'll in fact at this game. It's a game of reading poetry. So, thanks for joining. I really appreciate it. I'm just throwing away my tea bag here for my for my tea. I laugh about saying teabag because today we're going to be following some kind of racy literature. Now, I'm not one to be squeamish or anything like that when it comes to poetry. I don't know about my audience, though. With this poetry is definitely a difficult one to be offering. A lot of the poetry found in Gregg Shapiro's work is erotic and a little bit explicit, which is kind of tough. I am personally not going to go through his explicit stuff or his erotic poetry. It's nothing personal. It's just that's not the nature of the poem prose, is to be entirely erotic for public audiences. I mean, maybe privately we could write some erotic poetry and stuff like that. I mean, even yesterday's was a little bit racy, but when I feel like it's not a good fit, Greg could probably agree with me. When it's not a good fit, you don't do it. So anyway, really stoked for some of his other poetry, though. There is a lot of great stuff in here. He has a very unique way of looking at poetry, and I'm excited to go into his work. So it's really difficult when, as soon as you bring up the fact that this is a queer poet, you have a lot of innuendo and you have a lot of double entendre. And so, like, almost everything I say seems like I'm making an innuendo. I'm like basically blushing right now because while I don't intend to go through any of his erotic poetry, I do intend to go through some of his other stuff. Just know that I have made sure not to go into all that stuff. So this book, Protection by Gregg Shapiro, was written in 2000 or was published in 2006. It's good, it's good. Like there's some good stuff in here, and I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna share. There are some things I most certainly will not share, but and this is so frustrating because I know he's going to probably watch this. The Halsted Street, Chicago, he seems to write from different locations, and those are the name of his books, or the sections. His Halsted Street, Chicago is not my favorite. It was like not my favorite. So I just don't want to bore you to tears or make your ears scald with some of the things that he writes. If you really want this book, let me know in the comments, like message me however you want, and I'll send this book to you. It's not bad. It's just I'm not going to do it publicly. It's just kind of how I go. So if you don't already, please get some tea. I've been 4 days without caffeine, and I thought today I would try my hand at some green tea. And so far I haven't had any headaches, which is good. It's the whole reason why I stopped, is I had headaches. So if it hurts, don't do it. Okay. So this is from the Prince Street in Boston. So it seems like he's moved. Okay. Let's go ahead and, there is that one. I actually am going to share this one first. It's not racy or anything like that. It's actually really sad. It's really sad. But I think it's a good start. It'll kind of show you how Greg is more of a storyteller when it comes to his style of poetry. He definitely doesn't hold back. He just keeps writing and writing and writing, which there's nothing wrong with that. You can get a lot of detail. I just know that a lot of the poets that we've experienced, except for Alice Notley, they tend to be pretty short with their words. So here we go. This is called Putting the Cat to Sleep. Great title. Instantly gets you. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some poetry. Ooh, yeah, that's good tea. I never liked the cat John and Ellen named Meeper. after a pet name they used to call each other when they were a couple. John kept the cat after they broke up, moved into separate living quarters. She was his cat, though, through and through, growling and hissing, swatting clawless paws at anyone she perceived as a threat, an invader, competition for John's attention and affection. We shared John in the same way that Israelis and Palestinians share their volatile homeland, grudgingly, suspicious, always ready for war, eyeing each other with malice and distrust for 11 years. John and I got a dog for balance, to round out our lopsided family. In the back of my mind, I was convinced that the presence of another water and food bowl next to hers would do the cat in for sure. She turned out to be remarkably ductile for a 14-year-old feline with a bad attitude. When Alan got too sick to care for himself, he moved in with John and me. The apartment reeked of cigarette smoke and cat urine. In her old age, Meeper had become feeble, missing the litter box completely, wobbling unsteadily on her bony legs. We'd go through countless bottles of Lysol cleaner and rolls of paper towel, wiping up the cat's accidents. The smell overwhelmed Alan, his lungs still feeling the after effects of PCP. In a less than democratic fashion, it was decided that Meeper be taken to the vet on Devon Avenue to be put to sleep. In the sneaky way that coincidence has of showing up, unexpected, unannounced, unforgivable, it reared its well-meaning head that evening. The veterinarian was the same one John and Alan had taken Meeper to as a kitten for her shots, when she was neutered, when she ran a fever from an internal infection so high she panted, her teeny pink emery board of a tongue drooping from her mouth. The same waiting room with separate seating for dog and cat owners. That medicinally sweet odor, whimpers of animals in examining rooms. John stays with Meeper when the doctor administers the shot. I can see him through the rectangular window in the door. Alan paces outside of the closed door occasionally, stopping to chew on a fingernail, glance sideways into the room. I pull Kleenex from a jacket pocket, not so much surprised as I am confused at the tears. Alan opens the door, pets the cat lying still, breathless on the metal table. I see John's hand, then Alan's, then a blur. When John turns around to come back into the reception center, his nose is red and he wipes it with the back of his hand. I offer him a tissue, but he is intent on finishing the business of the moment, writing a check, blinking back tears. He is amazed at the speed of the procedure, the precision. Better to go fast than to linger, the girl behind the desk says, unaware of who else might hear the words. I look at Alan to see if he is heard. He is staring off into space, remembering the cat who used to lick his nipple, who liked to lick his nipples, nip at them when she was a kitten. Back in the car, eyes watery and stinging, they are talking about dinner, as if eating were the next logical step, some sort of natural reflex or instinct. I concentrate on driving through the late rush hour traffic, honking, horns, and voices shouting from open car windows. John has a taste for biscuits and gravy as we drive, past a fast food chain specializing in southern fried chicken. I'm not sure if I'll be able to eat, swallow past the lump of grief in my throat. None of us really thinks we could stand the hustle and bustle of a restaurant, and we pull into a grocery store parking lot. Once inside the crowded supermarket, I am sure I have a breakdown. I am sure I will have a breakdown in the cat food aisle, split open like a dropped bag of kitty litter, scramble in pieces all over the freshly washed tile floor, get lodged under the base of the well-stocked shelves. That's a sad poem. That's way sad. Putting the cat to sleep? Gosh, I hate putting animals to sleep. I hate it. I've had to do it several times in my life, and this just like reaffirms that fact. It sucks. There's some really good descriptions in there. In the sneaky way that coincidence has of showing up, unexpected, unannounced, unforgivable, it reared its well meaning head that evening. Gosh, you know, I have had to put animals down having lived on a farm, and I've had to as an adult. Um, and I can tell you it doesn't get any easier. It sucks. People who do it professionally, here's to you. Yep, good tea. Okay, I'll be right back. I gotta grab something real quick. I have a fan in my apartment garden that was on high. I just didn't like the sound of it. Okay, so let's go on to his next poem. So this is from his book, Prince Street, Boston. I'm going to skip the first poem of that. It's a little too much for me, but let's Black Rabbits. Black rabbits hang, feet, bound, split seamed, upside down in the meat market window. Jet black fur, shiny black eyes, dulled by the butcher's blade. Ears drawn, stiff, listening to tunnels of white noise and silent sides of beef. It's stuff like that that demonstrates that Gregg has the poetic instinct. We have two quartets, and the words are well measured. Black rabbits hang feet. Bound, split seamed, upside down in the meat market window. Jet black fur, shiny black eyes, dulled by the butcher's blade. Ears drawn, stiff, listening to tunnels of white noise and silent sides of beef. Creepy, eerie, in fact, you know? And he doesn't say anything he doesn't say it's creepy. He doesn't say it's eerie. He just describes what's going on in the scene, and you're like, whoa, that's kind of like freaky, man. But yeah, that's what demonstrates a really brilliant poet, or at least when the poet is amongst his brilliance. When he doesn't tell you, he shows you. He doesn't tell you I was freaked out when I went into the meat market. He shows you what was going on in the meat market, and you're like, whoa, freaky. Okay. Kisses for Cosmo. Cigarette smoke is deafening. Invisible needles in my ears. I can't remember the sign language. Alphabet beyond F. You promised to write legibly on a notepad. I blow kisses through your smoke rings, dissolve the filters with nail polish remover. Once in a while, I remember what your voice sounds like in a cafe on Hanover Street. The espresso is too strong. You struggle to be heard over the shouting Italians. I'm an Italian. I know we shout. We took the train to Harvard Square, 99 degrees, and the streets were almost still. I drank iced tea, taking big gulps that hurt to swallow. Cosmo smoked clove cigarettes, turned somersaults in the Cambridge Common. Grass stained and sweaty, he kissed me on the mouth, looked around to see who was watching. One day, Cosmo said. I will eat you alive, never let you out. I just want to hold his hand, tell his fortune, take his pulse. He talked about buying a motorcycle or getting a tattoo. I tried to imagine him missing an arm or a leg, chasing me around the laundromat or the clubhouse on crutches. The tattoo said, Space Cadet. I find that I'm repeating myself more than usual. He's managed to stay drunk for 6 days. But who's counting? You know, that is good tea. One of the things that's unique about Gregg's style of poetry is he kind of blends almost like he's a how would I put that? What do they call those? A slam poet. He's kind of like a slam poet, but then he does these kind of twists of surrealism, maybe fantasy, definitely, but that's a topic for a different poem. Oh, and then he does this thing. I really dig it. We're going to see it here. It's called The Jews Got a Sale on Suitcases. It's a portrait. Well, kind of a portrait. Well, listen, you'll see. Guy! Fat Anna bellows from the bottom of the stairs. Guy! This time louder. Then his response muffled behind the closed apartment door, 2 flights up. Yes! In the wardrobe, she says, decibel level the same. Next to the bed, where I keep my shoes. Your shoes? He echoes as he opens the door. There's a straw purse with flowers. She's giving detailed instructions slowly, carefully. Where I keep my money. He's listening, maybe adjusting his hearing aid. Money? He repeats. Amina Bird in baggy wash pants and a faded flannel shirt. Bring it to me. The Jews got a sale on suitcases. I want you to see them. He's shuffling away from the door into another room. In the vestibule, Fat Anna hums, checks her watch and her nails, maybe tries to run her fingers through her hair thick with years of lacquer and peroxide. Sitting on the edge of the bed, more awake than I want to be at this hour on a Saturday morning, in the apartment below theirs, feet touching the floor for the first time today. Now I know where the loot is stashed. I like that one. It's great. I mean, apartment life is something that a lot of people experience. And if you're living in Boston, well, shoot, yeah, you're gonna have neighbors, and your neighbors are gonna have lives, and they're gonna talk in a way that's kind of funny. Yeah. I mean, I doubt that Gregg would go and rob them, but the point is people are not very private with their secrets. I'm not saying that money's a secret, but we tend to keep it in places that are not easy to find. So, the 3rd degree. Everywhere I turn, the house is on fire, crackling, ablaze, commanding my attention. First, the kitchen, the hottest spot, second only to the burning bed. Silverware burned black, crumbles like crackers, dishes bubble and warp, glasses explode like the 4th of July. The smoke alarm is merely a shadow of ash on the wall. In the living room, 1,000 record albums disappear in a flash. 30 years of vinyl vaporizes in less than 30 seconds. Bookcases and shelves smolder, flames lick at the bindings, covers of dog-eared novels, yellowed pages gray before age. In the bedroom, the wardrobe and closets are just So much dust. The mattress and box springs are gone. All that remains are glowing red coils. I run into the bathroom, stick my hands in the toilet, but the water is boiling. Before the mirror melts, I watch my hair ignite, flicker like a candle. Like, what? But I dig it, right? Like, it's a fun and inventive way of approaching a poem. Sometimes poems don't have to be vague or obscure. Sometimes poems don't even have to be short of words. You can take your time, say everything you want to say, and make the scene as detailed as you want to make it. And in this scene, his house is on fire. Everything's on fire. I wonder what the fire means. What do you think the fire means? If you got an idea, toss it in the comment section. Looking at the ceiling. Rug burns on my elbows, tailbone, shoulder blades, scalp. Burn for burn. I still come out ahead. Wonder how I can go to the beach, take off my shirt in public. Everyone will know. I will lie on my back, basted in sunblock, naming clouds. For now, I will lie on the sand-colored carpet, stare at the galaxy of water spots on the ceiling. Cobwebs are moonbeams, jutting out from the light fixture. Your face is a planet orbiting mine, light years away. Our lips collide, tongues tangle, teeth clack like a meteor shower. Satellite hands, you are out of this world. Tell me again about the Big Bang Theory. Okay, so this poem is a good poem. And there's a couple reasons why. Now, the thing that really bothers me about some of the poetry that Gregg's write is it's really explicit. It's really explicit, and I don't much care for it. But he also has the capacity for metaphor and simile and innuendo. Against foam, my eyes did somersaults. Mexican jumping bean marbles all. I could hear were feet on stairs. Keys and lock zippers I want, to strap myself to a bottle of pills and swallow the phone when it rings. Weird, like weird. I don't know, weird. But he definitely has something going on there. It elicits images. It's a little abstract. Abstract isn't always bad. Okay. Let's get into the next one. Bending over backwards. Not so much addicted to the pills as to the idea. 2 every 3 or 4, 1 every 6, not to exceed 240 breaths per hour. Sweating in places I never knew I could. My hair is so clean, it squeaks. I slide from the bed. I can't stop evaporating. Every whisper is a yell, and the songs sound the same at every speed. All the sentences and paragraphs are one long word. The clock and the calendar have become my best friends. The mail is always late. If the doctor asks me my name, I'm afraid I won't remember it. This poem is called Bending Over Backwards. It's interesting to think about going to the doctor. There's the pills that you'll get when you go to the doctor. Regardless of what they are, they have weird side effects. I remember after I got my wisdom teeth taken out, I had to take I think it was Percocet every couple of hours. And I was in a daze. I was like, what's going on? It was so weird. It's super weird. Have you ever written a poem about going to the doctor or the hospital? You should try it. It's a fun one. Maybe I should try it. One of two. Oh, looks like my computer is dying. Let's make sure we have ourselves plugged in, shall we? We're good. Okay, one of two. I list my options on a matchbook cover. Sleep to forget. Sleep to sleep. Walk the freedom trail. Crawl. Go to south station and start over. It's funny, but how small this poem is, I can imagine that he took a matchbook cover and wrote a poem on it. Have you ever played with the medium that you put the poem on? We do it here at the Poem Pros all the time. I have a set size. That's how big the poem is. It's never going to be any bigger because I love this size. It's exactly how big I want my poems. If I want to write a longer poem, I'll put it in my journal, or I'll grab a piece of paper and I'll draft one out. But when it comes to the poems I write for the Poem Pros, they're this big. This big. Oh, speaking of which, this is the poem that I'm going to feature at the end of this episode. So stay with me and you'll get it. And I've played with all different sizes of poetry. And I've played with all different kinds of mediums. Like this is a more hard eggshell cardstock. Well, this is more of a soft, flexible. So different mediums will have different results. A lot of people like to write poetry on their computer. I strongly, strongly advise you not to do that. If you do, it's fine. It's no big deal. That's your process. That's your style. But there's something to writing it in the physical world. It tends to grip harder. But a lot of people do it. A lot of people do. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, shoot, I've written Twitter poems before, and they're kind of fun. Okay, so this one, it's like a portrait, right? It's called The Pizza Eaters. Sometimes you're not describing anything more than what's going on, and that's great. So let's check it out. The bored waitress never looks at us as she recites the list of daily specials from memory. Minimal eye contact as she takes our orders, drums a ballpoint pen on her pad. We already know what we want. The same thing we come here for night after night. Doughy crust, baked flaky, golden crisp. Generously doused in tangy, authentically spiced tomato sauce, layered in abundant handfuls of finely shredded, grated mozzarella, Parmesan, and ricotta cheeses. Liberal sprinklings of crushed red pepper, basil, and oregano. We are here to take in the whistling hiss of the espresso machine. That was great. The whistling hiss of the espresso machine. Breathe the weighted air, cloudy with secondhand smoke and accents, stale, expressive perfumes and body odors. There is music. Tony or Frank or Rosemary Clooney from a jukebox in the bar. The minestrone is the color of mahogany. Diced vegetables floating in the steamy broth. Glass cruets of oil and red wine vinegar precede the house salad. Limp flaps of lettuce dangling over the sides of the wooden bowls. Forks and spoons lifted, abandoned, traded for knives. This is the pizza parlor where we chose to say goodbye. Our lips stinging from the blend of seasonings, gums aching, tender from gooey, hot mouthfuls of pizza, in a Chicago-style pizzeria, in a different city altogether. We came together to come apart. I must control my hands, gripping my silverware, like close friends. As much as I want to wipe the sauce from the corners of his mouth with a napkin knotted in my lap, I won't. Instead, I make sure to chew my food until I can swallow it like a sob. If he offers to pick up the check, I just might let him. Wow. Breakups suck, but how detailed he gets into that pizzeria. Like, you can imagine, like, he either knows he's going there to break up, because it doesn't seem like it's a surprise. It seems like they came from faraway places to come together to talk about how they're not going to see each other again. And the time that he's there, he gets so detailed about all the little different things that he notices. For fun, try it. Go to a place and just start listing out everything you see, every little thing you see, and see what kind of picture arrives. It's like painting, just with words. Oh, I love good tea. So this next part is called Warren Street. It's in Washington. So the book seems to move across a couple places, from Chicago to Boston and then now to Washington. So he's definitely an East Coaster. An East Coaster. I'm more of a Midwester, technically Rocky Mountains. Don't really know if that means anything, but poetry is built on perspective. I don't know what it's like to live out in Chicago or Washington or Boston. I know what it's like to live in Utah. I know what it's like to visit some places. And so I admire him for writing about his experiences in different places. Okay, just had to double check this wasn't a racy one. Colorblind in the Emerald City. You told me it would be easy to get lost. In a city shaped like a fractured diamond, north and south are just mirages complicated by compasses. I never could refold a map the right way. Landmarks are helpful if the weather is cooperative. Since it hasn't stopped raining, I threaten to stand in the middle of the street, head back, mouth open, and drown. All I see is black and white, words on a page, swimming before my eyes, something magnified under a microscope. Tourists have never seen anything so green. Grass that won't die, trees that refuse to change color, shed their leaves. Didn't you notice that block of burned out buildings? Look, that used to be the Bible History Wax Museum. Now it's another gray area. See those men warming their hands over a pile of burning newspaper, smoke the color of ink? When I told you that you'd need 8 arms to hold me, 3 heads to watch me, I never imagined you'd chase me with a dozen legs down this yellow brick road. It's funny, he talks about how Washington, I assume it's Washington, D.C., not Washington, the West Coast. It could be. I mean, it does say Washington, though. So maybe. Don't know. But then again, the weather he talks about. So he goes from East Coast to West Coast? What kind of life would that be like? You ever moved to a new town or a new city? You ever tried writing a poem about it? The men want to be with the men. My mistake, I guess, trying to convince you to leave Boston to move to Washington. There are more men here. I say eligible bachelors. Susan shakes her head, violently disagrees. Disappointment, she says, is a woman's closest companion. Single women, I know, are single because they want to be. I can't hear them crying into their pillows at night. They aren't the only ones. Busy says the odds are better at Hetchinger's hardware on Wisconsin Avenue. 10 men to every woman. I wonder how many women know about this, or if there is a network sworn to secrecy. When word gets out, they will swarm like bees around the hive, stinging each other. Once inside, transformed into spiders spinning webs across the lumber, cable, tools, nuts, and bolts. Salesmen, dazzled by such a display of beauty, stumble, clumsy as moths. It's funny that he would bring up that there's a network, a secret network about where people are. And social media in some ways has done this. It's made it easier for us to follow other people and where they're going and what they're doing and stuff like that. But there's some places that I know that the women are. Yes, you guys all know I'm married. Yes. Yeah. But I still know where the women are. I still know that when I go do yoga across the street, um, I'm going to be one of only a few guys there. I know that if I go to an art class, I'm going to be one of the few guys there. Um, I know that if I go to a business development meeting, it's going to be about 50-50. Like business networking, it's about 50-50. Depends on the how upscale. The more upscale, the more women. Almost every time. But anyway, these are small things I know about. I mean, where do you find girls or guys? Comment below. Okay. Okay. Backyard. Beetles, big as battleships, cast giant shadows across the lawn and street, eclipse the sun, hover, circle, dive, and soar. Swat at them. Their determination knows no end. A neighbor thinks they have been sent from somewhere in the Middle East. Outer space, I say. Send her running for cover. Nothing ever happens here. I'm sending postcards from the backyard. On one, I ask for advice. How to juggle two lovers without twisting my arm, ending up in a body cast or traction. On another, I write, the weather is fine. Wish you were here. Sprinklers hiss like a chorus of snakes with lisps. Did you hear that? That's freaking good. Sprinklers hiss like a chorus of snakes with lisps. Freaking good. I must remember to look up the word drought in a dictionary. Drought in a dictionary. The mail open and discarded, wilts in the freshly cut seeded grass. Cassettes melt in the boom box as I apply another coat of suntan lotion. Nothing ever happens here. Nothing. What would it be like to sit in a backyard and be absolutely bored? Absolutely bored. I like that he's mailing stuff to people. That's what we do here at the Poem Pros. People go to our website, they make requests, and we send stuff on its way. I mean, we try and do our very best, and yeah, people tend to be really surprised by what we wrote, which it's not bad, you know? I like being a part of people's process for saying, hi, here's a poem. Okay. The House of Closed Doors. In this unpredictable climate, there are two or more questions for every answer. Birds fly into windows, painted shut, painted the color of a stormless sky. Paint chips fall from the ceiling, collect on warped wooden floors in lazy geometric patterns. Fear beads like sweat on our upper lips. Dressed in camouflage, white to calm our unsteady nerves. If we really were phantoms, these blanched bone walls would do more than just support. Flesh out an undernourished structure. They would know our deepest secrets, what we mean by privacy, freedom, blindness. Instead, they are witness to changes out of context, out of our control, outraged. Fixtures rattled as another door slams and the stairs consider folding up, relocating. Hinges shiver. Houses are so weird. Super weird. They house secrets, memories, fights, arguments, joy, despair. Very strange are houses. And having just moved, I'm not surprised he probably wanted to write about his house a little bit. How are we doing? Doing good? If we're doing good, give this video a like. I'd appreciate that. It'd be super rad. There are three girls running. No, this poem's called Sisters. There are three girls running. There are three girls running nowhere. Ricky Lee Jones. The house reaches up around us. Brick arms, slate scalp. Words like fortress, convent, asylum come to mind. Engrave themselves on our tongues. Wind bends, trees outside. Inside our posture is perfect. We might as well be sisters. 6 blue eyes staring, faces lit up by color TV rays. Change channels, change the subject by remote control. We take turns, take a vow of silence, only talking during commercials. When one of us coughs, we know it is just a furball. Retrieve a glass of cool water, administer a gentle pat on the back. We read books, get better at reading each other's minds, congregate in the kitchen to swap recipes, advice on love, tips on travel for trips we'll never take. Maybe we'll cut, color, curl our hair, polish our nails, the furniture. In the yard, under wide brim hats, we do the gardening, come to terms with weeds as willful as men. He's definitely moved. He's definitely somewhere else. Do you think he's moved in with somebody, like a boyfriend, a girlfriend, or just a roommate? It says sisters, but... Night laundry. It must be 40 degrees. I can see my breath as I hang wet clothes on the line. They emit their own steamy, feathery gasps. The neighbor lady thinks I'm crazy. She watches from her kitchen window, chains smoking. I know she will bring this up at the next block meeting. Hands so cold, it is difficult to maneuver the clothespins. I shake the clothes out before hanging them, sending smoke signals to the moon. A stray cat watches suspiciously from a safe corner of the yard. Alley lights make its eyes glow. While I hum and hang, the cat appears to frown, nod. The moon is almost full. Laundry basket, half empty. I put on a puppet show with clothespins. They converse in a language close to French. Dew just begins to settle on the grass. Oh, goodness. Don't know what that was all about. My computer just started barking at me. The moon is almost full. Laundry basket, half empty. I put on a puppet show with clothespins. They converse in a language close to French. Dew just begins to settle on the grass. It is past the neighbor lady's bedtime. I make up a story to help her sleep. The end is scary enough to give her bad dreams. I just can't believe that he'd hang up his laundry in the middle of the night. That just seems so silly. Why? Why would you go to all the trouble to hang up your laundry in the middle of the night? Do you have so much laundry that you need the washer to be open for it? Or do you really anticipate that your clothes are going to be dry sooner? I know what it is. You know what it's like when you leave your clothes overnight sopping wet? They stink. Oh, gosh. They just get that weird mildew smell. I get it. Totally. It's gross, but yeah, I get it. Running out of language. From the tip of my tongue to the back of my mouth, words escape me. Elusive, evasive, exclusive as numbers. Parts of speech play possum, Scrabble dance. Vowels threaten to take consonants hostage. Make them silent if their demands aren't met. Nouns refuse to mingle with verbs. How can I tell you how much you mean to me? About the woman upstairs who floats around her room in a flannel nightgown. I don't really understand why it ended that way. Let me try this again. From the tip of my tongue to the back of my mouth, words escape me. Elusive, evasive, exclusive as numbers. Parts of speech play possum, Scrabble dance. Vowels threaten to take consonants hostage. Make them silent if their demands aren't met. Nouns refuse to mingle with verbs. How can I tell you how much you mean to me? About the woman upstairs who floats around her room in a flannel nightgown. I don't really understand that ending. I get the rest of it. Being tongue tied is a terrible experience. But I don't understand the end. That's okay. Don't have to understand every poem. February. The boss's wife comes to me with secrets I must take to heart, to my grave, beyond. Spilling from lips thick with red, punctuated by brown eyes darting, silent clicks and code. Facts to be filed, stored for future reference. She told me that she broke down in the shower, crumpled into a heap of steam, salt, and water. Her dreams keep me awake at night, vivid dreams of forbidden addictions, another life. Now I know why February can be as cruel as April. 28 days, mimicked by March, with little or no chance for improvement, just the promise of white going gray, hardening like cement. Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good freaking poem. Yeah. Oh man, I'm feeling the chills, the tingles on that one. I don't know who's turning into cement specifically, but both people seem stuck. Everybody seems stuck in this one. Whew, freaking good. That was so good. Oh, all right. Routines. So it's Sunday night, and I think about calling you. Maybe calling you a cab. We could drive around the block, drop me off in a strange part of town. I'll find my way back like a latter day Hansel. Sing to myself, off key, like my father. Wonder if I'm my own wicked stepmother. Back at square one, you shuffle the marked cards, crack your knuckles. Atlantic City doesn't know what it's missing. I am missing. In action. Resolved to a fate that leaves me crooked and humble. But it's Sunday night. Again. So I primp, take my place at the bar, and vent confidence. Remember the time you clucked your tongue, said, creature of habit? I was never sure if you were talking about me or yourself. The bartenders whistled, here comes a regular, when they saw you coming. Now I look over my shoulder and discover I'm the only one standing there. Wow. Are there routines that you take part in that only you take part in? Nobody else does? Sometimes I feel like poetry hours are a little routine. You know what I mean? Come here, listen to this crazy guy read poetry from all different kinds of poets, all different kinds of subjects. And you do it for an hour. Good on you. I like this routine. Keep it up. I'll make a routine of sharing it with others. You can do it. Okay, the fortune cookie. Once I opened a fortune cookie in a Chinatown cafe, only to find it empty. A clam with no pearl, a magician with nothing up his sleeve. I made up a fortune that went, drink from the well of life, but beware of the algae. The cookie was as hard to digest as the improvised fortune. Once, I met a lawyer who seduced me with words, then his hands. A smooth-skinned, smooth talker who made my ears blush, my stomach do flip-flops. He tried me on the roof of his DuPont Circle high-rise, found me innocent. The next morning, I opened a fortune cookie for breakfast. It said, lawyers do it in their briefs. Once, a fortune in a cookie ripped in two, each tattered half contained in the cookie's folds. Carefully, I retrieved the two-part fortune, fit the pieces together like a jigsaw puzzle. Jagged cookie quarters lay on the table, uneaten. You have a split personality, was what the fortune said. Once, delirious from hunger, I neglected to tip the ancient man who delivered egg rolls and shrimp fried rice to the house on Warren Street. The food was hot, filling, satisfied my craving. I washed it down with green tea, stored the leftovers. The fortune cookie was stale, as difficult to open as a vault. It said, don't press your luck. You know what I mean? Like, he's not bad. When he's not focused on eroticism and he's more focused on writing good poetry, not even good poetry, about his experiences that don't involve eroticism, he does a great job. And even in this one, where he does talk about the lawyer that seduced him, he doesn't become explicit. Me personally, I believe it's the mark of a better poet to be specific, not explicit. Right? What do you think? Time for one more, and then I'll share my poem. Okay. After the day. How long did you say it would take for you to have a nuclear dream? Things falling from the sky, even the sky itself, pieces of atmosphere big enough to trip over. I call my mother in Chicago. The phone rings 10 times, 99 miles for every ring. Glass in her hair blends with the gray. First, my hair comes out in strands, embedded in my palms. New lifelines to knot and braid. My mouth is an open sore. I leave fingerprints on my scalp. Aging, growing old, and dying are miserable things to think about. But poetry has this impeccable way of allowing us to deal with it. And as Gregg is a gay writer, I would assume he's a gay writer. I mean, I have every reason to believe that he is. And I've really enjoyed his work. He, in fact, did inspire me to write my own poem. That's similar to how he writes, just a little bit different. I don't want to write just like other people. I want to write like I would. So here's my poem. Okay, here we go. Thanks for staying with me all the way to the end. How should this poem go? Sentiments to souls seeking some grace while stuck inside their confined closets? Well, these are the words they won't want to hear. You are capable of more than hiding behind your closet door. How should this poem go? Soft-spoken and consoling caresses, spoon-fed to duct tape stuck ears. Not so, bucko. Get your one-in-a-lifetime soul out here and have a grand, gay old time. There you go. There's my poem. One more time? One more time? Okay, one more time. How should this poem go? Sentiments to souls seeking some grace while stuck inside their confined closets? Well, these are the words they won't want to hear. You are capable of more than hiding behind your closet door. How should this poem go? Soft-spoken and consoling caresses, spoon-fed to duct tape stuck ears. Not so, bucko. Get your one-in-a-lifetime soul out here and have a grand, gay old time. Thanks, Gregg, for the awesome inspiration. Your poems are great. My only thing is, you don't need to be explicit to be specific. And there's a ways of being erotic without being chaotic. And ultimately, I like your work. Not all of it, but I like your work. It's fun. It's inviting. You have this way of looking at things that are really brilliant. I do hope that one day you do watch this whole video. I mean, shoot, you might like what you hear. It's your work after all. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate you being a part of the 10th episode. The 10th episode of Poetry Hour. And we will start back up again on Monday for episode number 11. And we'll just keep doing this. You keep showing up. And so do I. And that's what matters. That we are here together to enjoy poetry for an hour. So thanks again, guys. I really appreciate you. Have a great day. And be sure to write some poetry. Leave some comments. Tell them feedback's great. I hope you've already hit the bell and subscribed and all that stuff. Everybody tells you to do it all the time. I'm just letting you know. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. See ya. End stream, and have a great day. Bye. Bye-bye.